It's midnight 1946, Gothenburg, Västra Frölunda. The large shadow of a man is walking with determined steps towards a grave not yet sealed off by earth. He looks down, and the hole is filled with scattered flowers and just a few centimeters of earth. He starts digging, and it doesn't take him long to reach the casket. Inside lies the dead body of 17-year-old Kerstin Moberg. What led us up to this point in time? Let's get into it. Hi and welcome to another video here on my channel Morbid History. Today I'm gonna go through a case from 1946 in Göteborg. It's like on the west coast of Sweden. And it's from an era that I usually don't poke into a lot because I like historic older cases, but this one's just bizarre. How could so much just happen to one young girl? Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. I love your comments and it really helps the channel. But with that, let's get on with the story. The story begins in Göteborg, Västra Frölunda, where a girl named Kerstin Moberg lived. She was 17 and from what we can gather, she must have been extremely charismatic. She was described as beautiful, petite, and she looked lively and happy. She had no shortage of admirers in her life. So yeah, at 17 she worked at a grocery shop pretty close to her family's farm. Occasionally she would take the tram into Gothenburg city. She liked to dance and go to cafes and was just enjoying life. As any young girl would, I guess. One of the admirers in her life was actually a 40-year-old man. He had started flirting with Kerstin when she was only 15. He was a truck driver named Erik. He used to come with his truck and deliver groceries to the shop where Kerstin worked. Pretty quickly she was interested in this older man that showed her attention. Problem was that he was already married. Kerstin did not know that for the first year when they went out on dates to the movies and cafes and stuff like that, but at some point Erik's wife got news of the little relationship there and she stormed up to Kerstin's home and told her parents that they should keep their daughter away from her husband, and rightfully so. Kerstin promised that she would keep her distance, but alas, that did not happen. He still came with his truck and she still worked at her job, so they saw each other a lot and continued their relationship in secret. Of course, this relationship had already been going on for 2 years in 1945, when Kerstin, one pre-summer day, had been at the dentist in Gothenburg. She was just exiting a tram and was standing there in central Gothenburg, wondering what she would do next. Someone saw her. It was Arne Svensson. He was a sergeant at 22 years old. Arne thought that he had never seen such a beautiful creature before, as she stood there in her summer dress, looking a bit bewildered. He took the courage to go up to her and ask her if she wanted to go to a nearby cafe and maybe have a fika, as we say in Sweden. And to his surprise, she said yes. She was a very sociable and, as we said, lively girl, and she thought that he looked quite good, quite handsome. After that, the two started going steady, as you might call it. And for a while, she was seeing both Arne and Erik simultaneously. Arne was a very complex young man. He had been left by a train station and put, of course, into the train by his mother at 5 years old and sent to Karlskrona to live with his grandmother. He was not a wanted child, and it was known from the very start. He wasn't very good in school either, and the teachers and everyone just pretty much gave up on him. But he found his calling when the Second World War came and he went into the military. There he actually got the stability and routine that he had lacked all his life and really enjoyed the life as a sergeant. And as the war came to an end, he did not want to quit the military life and was sent to a base in Gothenburg. And that's where we find him. And that's where we find Kerstin that day in 1945. As previously stated, she had a double relationship going on. She was seeing both Erik, the 40-year-old truck driver, and Arne, the 22-year-old sergeant, at the same time. For a long time, it seemed that neither of them knew of each other because Arne could only come into town 3 days a week, and of course Erik came to her work with his truck and they saw each other those days. So it seemed like Kerstin just couldn't decide. Her parents were strictly against her being with the 40-year-old truck driver, of course, and they were enthralled with the young military man Arne. For them, he seemed just the logical choice. But of course, Kerstin was still very young and she just couldn't decide. As this went on, at some point Arne heard what was going on, that she was seeing this older man at the same time, and he, instead of leaving her, decided to propose. Kerstin actually agreed, and everything seemed well in Arne's life. But then Erik got a hold of the news, and he said to Kerstin that he's gonna divorce his wife and marry her. And she says yes. So yeah, you can see where these decisions in her world would conflict a bit. But can we blame a 17-year-old girl who's been groomed from 15 by a very, very much older man, like twice her age? Either way, it seems like she decided in the end that she would go with the 40-year-old truck driver Erik and tried to break it off with Arne. Arne was not having any of that at all. He tried calling her every day and he sort of started this campaign to get her back. Like, he was not gonna give up this beautiful young woman that had such a good upbringing and would give him such a lovely family, and he had put all of his hopes on this one particular girl. All of this happened in less than a year. By the time Erik had proposed, we are already in February 1946. And yeah, like I said, Kerstin tried to break off her engagement with Arne many times, but he would have breakdowns and just not listen to her, and she just tried and tried again. But then it seemed like she got her message across. And then, what next? Did Erik divorce his wife? Did he marry Kerstin? Did Arne meet someone else? No. Instead, in February 19th, 1946, Kerstin's body was found shot in the head in the family's barn. The night before, her family had had a big party, so no one really noticed until very late that Kerstin was gone. No one had seen her. Her mom looked out the window and said that she saw the shadowy figure of a man at some point during the evening. When it got way too late, of course, they went out and started shouting for her and looking for her until they finally, pretty quickly, found her lifeless body there in the barn. In her pocket, she had a love letter addressed from Erik. But the family said that the night before she had actually met Arne. The police took both men in. And I could keep some kind of suspense, but in reality, it was very quickly proven that the one who shot Kerstin was Arne. If he couldn't have her, then no one else could either. You know that old saying. When Kerstin had officially broken it off and started ghosting him, he, of course, could not take it. They actually found a note he had written. I'm gonna read it here in Swedish and have a translation next to me. Vad som än händer så kan vi inte hjälpa det. Jag älskar henne för mycket för att låta någon annan få henne. Kanske min dagbok kan ge orsaken till vårt ödesdigra handlingssätt. Hon var i grund och botten en uppriktig flicka. Arne. It would come to light that he had actually written this letter a few days before. He had actually confronted her the 17th of February already and threatened to shoot her and himself. This was actually supposed to be a murder-suicide. The first time, the 17th, when he tried, she had started crying uncontrollably and they had ended up hugging, reconciling, and fell asleep. And the day after, he thought that everything was fine until he didn't hear from her again. Which then led up to the evening on the 19th, where he took that gun again and sought her up, trying to reconcile. But this evening, Kerstin had taken him because of the party, that she didn't want him to make a scene in front of her entire family. So they went into the barn and sat on a wooden carriage thingy. And there they sat and actually talked for a while. He tried to invite her to the movies or anything, but she was not having any of it, and she was really cold. That's when he took his gun, pointed it at her head. She might have just seen it, but from the crime scene it was determined that she was looking and might have just had time to move her head away a bit before she was shot. She died instantly. Only 17 years old. Arne then tried to shoot himself, but the bullets he had stolen from his barracks were actually wrong for his pistol. Only one of the bullets had been fit properly into it, so the other bullets wouldn't come out. So he started to panic and wander around outside. That's when Kerstin's mom had seen him out there. But she did not see who it was, of course. He was easily found the day after, because he wasn't the smartest of men. When the police had come to the Moberg household and started this crime investigation, they quickly pointed the fingers at either Erik or Arne, of course, like we said before, and they thought that, what would a single man try to do if he had murdered someone? Leave? Maybe? Travel somewhere? So they went to the central station, and there he was eating his breakfast. He quickly confessed to the whole thing. Said that it was a failed murder-suicide, and he only got 10 years in prison for it. He was out after 6. He wasn't even 30 yet. And what we know of Arne after all that is that he became a family man and lived somewhere in the middle of Sweden for the rest of his life, not doing any more crime. But wait, where does the grave robbing coming? Well, that's the story is not over yet for Kerstin, unfortunately. Kerstin had a burial the 3rd of March that same year in 1946. She was buried in Västra Frölunda kyrkogård cemetery, and her murder had gathered much attention, of course, in the newspapers, and all of Gothenburg were very saddened by what happened to this young girl. So there were many people there watching. It became a proper spectacle. There were many people there, okay? English, hard. One of the people there was a large man. The morning after the burial, police got wind of a strange man walking with his bicycle and a long package that looked eerily similar to a body on it. And of course, the police should investigate such claims, which they did. They did not find the man, but according to where it was, of course, they went to the cemetery, and there they found Kerstin's coffin broken open. Someone had stolen Kerstin. Easily enough, because she wasn't supposed to be the earth wasn't on it yet. That was supposed to happen a few days after for some reason. So this man had gone and took Kerstin away with his bike. So the manhunt began. So the first thing they do, of course, is search around the area where the man had been seen. neighbor who had his head on his shoulders straight, I guess, went to them and said, "Hey, I see that you're out searching. What's that all about?" And they told the neighbor what they were looking for, and he pointed them to a house down the street where a very strange man was supposed to live with his mom. He was just known to be strange and kept to himself. And wouldn't you know it, when the police got there, they see a upturned canoe, and under that, the naked body of Kerstin, just lying there. The police enter the building and talk to the residents. There lived an old lady and her son, Carl Axel, 34. So this is just a third completely different man in the story. So who was Carl Axel, and why had he dug up Kerstin? Carl Axel was, as everyone said, a bit of a madman. He wasn't in his right mind, but after World War II, he had spiraled a bit out of control, and he hardly spoke to any of his family members, and none of them could get into his room. But, of course, when the police get in, they quickly see that this, what they called it, looked like a horror show. All the walls had been painted black, and the windows were sealed with black fabric, and on the walls were drawings and newspaper articles all about women who had been in accidents, had been killed, mutilated. There were stuffed body parts of women that he had made himself, and cast models of female body parts. And of course, he had lots of newspaper clippings from Kerstin Moberg's untimely death and murder. So now you're thinking, so he got like, ooh, he read about it and he already was a bit... No, he said that he had seen Kerstin 2 years previous at a dance and danced with her. She was unaware of this man that had once danced with her, and he had become obsessed, stalking her over Gothenburg, because he said that he had seen her many times during these years, but she did not seem to recognize him. So of course, when he read in the newspaper that his Kerstin had been murdered, his immediate response was, of course, I need to go get her and keep her for myself. Yeah. And that he certainly did, but he didn't get to keep her for long, luckily. He was sentenced at the same time as Arne, but since he was considered insane, he did not get prison sentence. He went into the psychiatry ward thingamajig that we don't have anymore, but was thriving back then. So yeah, Erik, because he was just like a side note in most of the articles, we don't know what he did. Was he still married to his wife? Who knows? He lost his young bride too? I have no idea. But yeah, that's the sad tale of Kerstin Moberg and how 3 different men became obsessed and ruined her life. So yeah, that was today's story. A very, very sad one about a young girl that got very preyed upon. It's just weird. All of it. So, what did you think? Please let me know down in the comments. If you liked the video and my ramblings, please consider subscribing and liking the video, sharing it, All of that really helps with the algorithm. Next week I won't be uploading a video because I'll be in Scotland. If you want lots of vlogs and content while I'm there, I'm gonna link my Patreon down below because that's where I'm gonna be posting during my trip. But I'll be back with Edinburgh content when I come back, of course. But next week will be hiatus because I won't be by my computer. So yeah, and with that I really want to say a big thanks to my patrons. I'm gonna list you here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for all the support. I really need it. This is like my job because I can't work, I'm disabled, and yeah, it really helps. It really helps. Make my months so much easier. Thank you. And yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks, and I hope everyone has a very good time until then. And if you want to see me, like I said, I'll be linking Patreon down there, and I'll be posting lots and lots of vlogs and pictures and updates on there. I also have Ko-fi if you just want to support, give a donation or something like that, and the merch, of course, I'll be linking that. So yeah, until next time, bye!